Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today's our topic is social change or causes of social change. Uh, change to talk technology, social institutions, population, and environment alone or in the some combination create a change. Below we will discuss how these act in agent of social change and well examine real world examples. We will focus on four agents of change recognized by the social scientists. The first one is technology, second is social institutions, third is population, and last the environment. Technology would say that improving technology has made our life easier. Imagine what your day would be like without the internet and automobiles or electricity. In the world is Flat Thomas Friedman 2005 argues that the technology is driving for is driving force behind the globalization, while the other force to show other forces of social change, social institution, population, and environment play a comparatively minor roles. He suggests that we can view globalization as occurring in a three distinct periods. The first is globalization was drive in a military expansion powered by horsepower and wind power. The countries best able to take advantages of these power sources expanded the most extracting control over the politics of the global from the late 15th century to around the year 1800. The second shorter period the second shorter period from the approximately 1800 CE to 2000 CE considered the globalization economy steam and all rail power were the guiding forces of social change and globalization in this period. Firstly, Friedman brings us to the post postman post millennial era. In the post millennium era, in this period of globalization, change is driven by the technology, particularly the internet. Friedman 2005. But also consider that technology can create change in the other three forces social scientists link to social change. Advances in the medical technology allow otherwise infertile women to bear children, indirectly leading it in an increase in the population. Advances in agriculture technology have allowed us to the genetically alert the patent food product, changing our environment in the immutable ways. From the way we educate children in the classroom to the way they grow the food we eat, technology has impact all accepts as a modern as like your life. Of course, there are a drawback in the increase of gap between the technological haves and have-nots. Sometimes the called digital divide occur both the locally and globally. Further, there are added security risks, the losses of privacy, the risk of total system failure, like a year 2000, panic at the turn of the millennium, and the added vulnerability created by the technology dependence. Think about a technology that goes into keeping nuclear power plant running safely and securely. What happens if the earthquake or the other disaster, like in the case of Japan, Fukushima plant causes of technology to the malfunction not the mention the possibility of the systematic attack to our nation relatively vulnerably technology infrastructure social institution. Each change in a single social institution lead to the changes in all in social institutions. For example, the industrialization of society means that there was no longer a need for a large families to produce enough manual labor to run the firm. Further, new job opportunity were in close proximity to the urban center where a living space was at a premium. The result is that the average family size shrunk significantly. This same shift toward industrial corporation entities also changed the way we view government involvement. The private sector created the global economy, provided the new political platform, and even supported new religion and the new forms of religious worship like a science theology. It has also informed the way we educate our children originally schools were set up in the accommodate and agriculture calendar so the children could be home to work a field in the summer and even today teaching models and largely based on the preparing student for industrial job despite that being outdated needed as this example illustrate a shift one area such as industrialization mean the interconnect impact across the social institutions. Population composition is a change at every level of society. Births increase in one nation and decrease in other nation. Some families delay the childbirth while others start bringing a child into their fold earlier. Population changing can be due to random external forces like an epidemic or a shift other social institution described above. But regardless of why and how it happens, population trend have a tremendous interrelated impact on all other aspect of societies this population is still continue in the United Nations. We are experiencing an increase in our senior population as a baby boomers being the retired, which will in a turn changes the way many of our social institutions are organized. For example, there is an increased demand for housing and warmer climates a massive shift in the need for the elder care and assist living facilities and growing awareness of elder abuse. There is a concern about a labor shortage as the boomers retire, not to mention the knowledge gap as the most senior and accomplished leaders in the different sectors start to leave. Further, as the large generation leaves the workforce, the losses of tax income and and pressure on the pension and retirement plans mean that the financial stability of the country is threatened the environment turning to the human ecology we know that individuals and environment affect each other as the human population move into more vulnerable areas we see the increase in the number of people affected sorry by nature disaster and we see the human interaction with the environment and increase the impact of those disasters part of the simply the number of more people they are on the planet the more likely it is that people will be impacted by a natural disasters but it goes beyond that we face the combination of too many peoples and the increased demand these number make on the earth is a population we have brought water tables of the dangerously low level built up the fragile shorelines of increased development and the irrigated massive crops, field water brought the several stateway. How can we surprise when homes along the coastlines are the waterline brought threaten whose whole town? The year 2011 hold the unwelcome distinction of being record year of the $1 billion weather disasters, with about a dozen falling into the category. From the twister and the floods to the snowstorm and these are the weather disasters that a planet in the making of our problem abundantly clear. CBS News 2011. These events have a birthed social movement and the bringing about social change as the public become educated in these issues. Modernization. Modernization describe the process that increase the amount or specialization of a differentiation of a structure in society, result in the moving in an undeveloped society to the developed technology driven the society. By the definition, the level of modernity with the society judged by the specificity of the technology, particularly as the related infrastructure industry and the like. However, it's important to note an inherent ethnocentric bias to such assessment. Why do we assume that those living a semi-papal and the pre-imperial nation with the would find it the wonderful to become like a core nation? Is the modernization always positive? Maybe yes, maybe no. One contradiction of all kind technology is they often promise time-saving benefit, but somehow fail to deliver. How many times have you ground your teeth and frustration in internet sites that refuse to load the dropped call on your cell phone. Despite the time-saving device such as the dishwasher, okay, these are the time-saving devices, dishwashers, washing machines, and now remote control vacuum cleaners, that the average amount of time spent the houseworks is the same today as it 50 years ago. And these are the benefit of technology. We can say these are the benefit of technologies, and we use these things in the modernizations. And the disputes benefit of 24/7 emails and immediately information have a simple increase amount of the time employees expected to be there responsive and available. While once business had a travel to speed on the United States postal system, sending something off and waiting until was received before the next stage, today is the immediate of the information transfer, mean there are the no such bricks. Further, internet brought information but a cost. These are more is of information mean that there are is much poor information available as trustworthy sources. There is a delegated line of work where core nations seek a bringing the assumes benefit the modernization to more traditional culture. For when there are these pro-capitalist biases that go into such attempt, and it is a short slight and Western government social scientists to assume all other countries aspire to follow these footsteps. Additional, there can be a kind of neo-liberal defense of a natural of a rural cultures, ignoring the often crushing poverty and disease and exists the people nation and focusing on the nostalgic mythology or the happy presence. It take a very careful hand to understand both the need for the culture identify the provisions as well as the hopes for the growth. Characteristics of a social movement express the dissatisfaction of people. The member of the movement expect expect that something will be done about the matter. Social movements are the highly organized group of people who feel very strongly about the matter. Propaganda, when public attention is being drawn by the matter, influences is a public opinion having have the potential have a potential to the bring about social change. May the transform the society potential strength should not be over understanding. For example, ANC movement before a democracy in April 1994, which initiated transformation in society. Social movement and association. Although the study of social movement is a dynamic collectivized has been contrast with the study of the structure and the function of established relatively stable association. There is a constant and pervasive relationship between these two phases of a social life. Social movements do not develop out the vacuum or a state of complete social disorganization. Then a member of social movement are a member of society and one more group with that society, each with their own organization and norms. As the member attempt collectively to revise the preserve or restore the social organization and the normative order of these relative stable pre-existing group, they act as a participant in a social movement. Social movement and association is still continuing. These social movement may intonate may internal to a particular society or association, or it may cut across group boundaries. A social movement may encompass within itself association whose a member participate by the virtue of their group members rather than as a discrete unattached individuals. Finally, one of the most significant end product of social movement, it embraces the stabilization, new institution, and a few, and sorry, it's not a few, it's a new stabilization of a new institution and a new form of social organization. Social movement and social change. This is the conclusion of whole slides, so that you can read yourself on this slide. So, but today's lecture is aimed. Wait a minute.